Hi, everyone. It's Sergeant Ranjan with Uniform Recruitment, and welcome to another session of AMA. I have the pleasure of doing the one today as we wrap up the month of July. It's July 30th, just like that. Half the summer is gone. So hope you're all enjoying it so far. And thanks for everyone that's joining us. I know it takes a bit of time for everybody to hop on and join us. So certainly really excited for the next hour to go over all the questions that you may have about the hiring process, specifically about the application process, and not only for the constable position, but also for all of our other positions. So certainly I'll address it. And I have two of my colleagues that will be joining me in this session today, and they'll be focusing more on some of the areas that our candidates are struggling with when it comes to the application submission, the portal, and trying to give you some tips to make sure that your application is not returned once it's submitted. So those are some of the things that we will be covering as we go through the session today. All right. A few little points that I want to touch on before we get started. The first one being our next class. So class 529, which is starting in September 2nd, the fall class is underway. I know we're filling the spots, and a lot of our candidates have been getting their job offer calls from our employment coordinator. And I actually had the opportunity to provide an in-person job offer to one of the candidates. She was with her soccer team. They had a soccer game, so I was able to go in person and kind of surprise her and provide her with the job offer in person in front of her family and friends, along with all the other teams that were there. So it went really, really well. And that I would say that's probably one of the highlights of my job in my position as a recruiter, where I get to do things like that. And I think what she shared with me afterwards in terms of how she felt, and something like this has never happened to her. So it's something she walks away with, maybe a memory for the rest of her life. So it's always great when we can do things of that nature. The second thing I want to talk about is our fitness session. So as you know, we're starting to increase more of our in-person fitness sessions across the province. So if you go on our website and you look at the events page, we have all of our fitness sessions slowly being posted there. So please sign up, come on down. We always try to represent each region by having one session located at different places of each region. So we're able to kind of facilitate people from various areas to participate. So certainly look at that. It's a great way for you to come meet us as recruiters. We are there. We are the ones doing the assessments, and it's a great way for you to earn your fitness certificate. It gives you 30 days to use that as a way to bypass our fitness stage once you submit your application. Okay, so something that for you to be aware of. The other thing I want to touch on is our new updated Be the Bridge challenge and our inclusion insight challenge. So certainly, our team with Victoria, Alicia, and Sarah and Elizabeth, they've kind of revamped this certificate session. So please go on if you haven't done those programs, just for updating your knowledge, but also just making yourself aware of some of the things that we're looking for as you go through the process. Okay, and I'll wrap up with two interviews. I did two interviews. I did one yesterday. I did one this morning, and the reason that I bring this up is it was very refreshing, because the two candidates that I interviewed, they really, really impressed me. They had the right motivation. They were very well prepared. They were very engaged, and they knew what they wanted for themselves with this profession that they're seeking. So, I felt really, really, I guess, happy. I felt very happy conducting the interview, to sit there and listen to them answering questions, and just to see the passion in their eyes to pursue this profession. So it kind of left me feeling like, oh, you know what? Sometimes this is why I do what I do in this line of work, being a recruiter, and to be in these opportunities where I can kind of enjoy what I'm hiring for the organization for the consul position, and these are the type of candidates that we're looking forward to hiring. So I want to kind of share that with you. Thank you, everyone. As I see everybody's logging in, I see the questions coming in already. We're going to address some of them, but before that, I want to talk about two of my colleagues that are on the call right now, Erica and Kat. They are our applications coordinators. So when you submit your application on the portal, when you submit it, when you hit that submit button, these are the wonderful, wonderful ladies that are reviewing the applications. They're able to kind of process it and make sure that you move on as quickly as possible to the next stage of the hiring process. But one of the trends and one of the concerns that we were seeing is a lot of the applications are being returned, which in turn delays the process for you to get into the next class. And the reasons being some of the minor details are being missed in the application. So there are things that we ask for in the application and we give you ample details, but certainly people are still missing them. So what we're going to do is for the next 15 minutes, if you have any question about the portal or specifically about anything on the portal and the application submission stages, we want you to ask those questions first. I will get to the other questions that are popping in right now, but we will be going on those questions first. And I'll have Erica and Kat here that will address some of them as they will talk about it. Okay, so we're going to focus on that first and go with the normal routine after that. So the first one that I'll address, so this is something that we are seeing regularly. People are submitting their photos, but they're not including the front and back of their ID photo. So Kat, maybe either Kat or Erica, if you want to jump in and if you want to address exactly what you're seeing from that perspective and what you want our candidates to do.
Sure. Hi, everyone. We notice a lot of candidates who are submitting their applications with you're required to submit two IDs, one being your driver's license and another piece of government ID. Typically, we see passports, but there's other options you can look into online. We do require there be a front photo of it, so the photo with your picture on it and all your personal information, as well as a photo of the back of it. So some candidates find it confusing about the passport because there's nothing really on the back of your passport other than the Canadian emblem. We do need to see the two back covers of your passport. There are photo examples on the application portal of best photos to take for both the front and the back of the passport. So it's easy to follow along, but still we want to speak out about that please get the front and the back of your passport and your driver's license.
And can you also talk about the driver's license? I think you mentioned it there. Can you also talk about the driver's license? I guess most people are just putting the front, but not the back.
Yes, the front being the photo with just your actual picture and your address and your age and all these things, or your date of birth. But then on the back is your actual driver's license serial number, and we need to see that. So you can upload in one kind of PDF document or JPEG just the photo of the front and then flip it over and the photo of the back, or you can do two different uploads, whatever works easiest for you.
Perfect. And the next question, I guess the next area that we want to address is employment. So one of the things that we're constantly seeing with our applicants, they're not listing all their past employment history. I know on the portal, it mentions 10 years. Again, we're going to be updating that as many of you probably will see as you log in, but we want you to include all your employment history. Maybe Kat and Erica, if you want to expand on that.
Yes, so we request every position that you've held in all of your employment history. If you're EPO or auxiliary, we only request 10 years. But if not, we request every position you've ever held. And if you, for example, worked at a security company and you held several positions within the same company, you have to list all of those separately as well.
Perfect. Like I know some people might say, they're not able to get a hold of their past employers' information, history, or that. And correct me if I'm wrong, Erica or Kat, I tell them to do as much as they can in terms of their research to fill as much of the information as possible, even if they can't cover all that information. Is there anything you would add to that?
Yeah, so our hope for each past employer and present would be to have a supervisor name and number. Sometimes that can be difficult with certain companies. Sometimes it could be like a 1-800 number. But as much, like the more information, the better for us.
Right, and then you essentially want them to include everything from part-time, casual, cash jobs. You essentially want everything captured, timelines as best as they can, right, and nothing left out. And this includes all jobs that they've ever had, even when they were 16.
Yes, so any military employment, we like to hear the reason why you left previous employers. Address, because that can show us like the different locations you've worked, different areas you've lived in. Yeah, full completeness is best, but I know there's certain situations where maybe if it was a really long time ago, you just might not be able to find all of that information.
Perfect. Thanks, y'all. And the next one we'll touch on is transcripts. You know what? Before I even go into it, Kat and Erica, maybe you can just even take that whole transcript question. Like, what is it that you're looking for when they submit their transcripts?
Yeah, so when we're asking for transcripts, I think a large source of confusion is that it's easily accessible for students to get their unofficial transcript on different university or college or high school websites. We do, however, require the official transcripts, so those ones are a little harder to come by. Essentially, you will know your transcript is official if it's signed, sealed, stamped. And sometimes schools won't actually release the transcript to you personally. So in that case, it'll have to be sent to our email, which you will find on the application portal. It'll indicate that to you as you're going through the application, but it's opphire@opp.ca. You will see it on the portal. And yes, a lot of times we see the unofficial transcripts where we hear from candidates that say that they can't get the official transcript, likely because they have access to the unofficial one, so they don't realize that you can get the official one. But we do require one that's either signed or stamped, or it can even be mailed to OPP headquarters, and the address again is on the application portal, so those can be mailed into us as well.
Awesome, great response. So obviously our candidates or everyone that's listening. So this is very important, and the reason that we're doing this session, and thankfully we have Erica and Kat joining us, is when you submit your application and if any of this minor detail is missed on your application portal, your application won't go through, and we will send it back to you and have you address it. So for you, it's worth taking that extra time, reviewing it, making sure that it's all appropriate instead of rushing through it and submitting a product that's not 100%. Because Erica and Kat, they will review it, take their time, and they won't process the application through just because if you're rushing to put it through, right? So there's no need to rush because we're hiring 365 days a year. Just make sure the product that you're putting is at its best, okay? I see the questions are coming through, and thank you for that. And I'll address it as we're going through. I just want to get through some of these other items that I want to address. Name on the ID. So essentially, one of the other things that we're seeing is on your portal, the name that you're listing does not match your official ID. Maybe Kat and Erica, can you address that?
Yes, so we just want to make sure that your name on the portal and your identification and your OACP consent form or release of information form, depending what stream you're applying to, is all consistent. The formatting should match all the way across the board. And also, a lot of applicants might leave out middle names, so those should always be included as well. And yeah, we just hope that it will be done this way at the application stage because when doing document uploads, it can, with the naming conventions that are automatic now, once we change your name in the portal further along down the road, you might be required to re-upload all of your documents. So exactly how your name appears on your government ID and driver's license is how it should be put in the portal and on your consent form.
Awesome. And the other question, I guess, is a follow-up to that. What if they don't have a first name? Like, would you just want them leaving it blank, putting an A? Is that acceptable?
So for no first name, we could put NA for that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. That's what I thought. And then I think this is just a follow-up on the name on your OACP consent form matches the name on your ID. I think you probably addressed that, but anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, we just want to be sure that the name, there's two sections of the OACP form where candidates have to indicate their name. So on the first page, write your full name, what middle names, everything included, as well as your full address. And then on the final page, a lot of the times candidates do their signature and then they write just their first and last name and fail to include a middle name or a second last name or anything like that. So just important that it's consistent all the way across. If your name is asked at any point on this official document application, look to your IDs and mirror that.
Perfect. The next item up for discussion is having a driver's license outside of the province, or if you've had a driver's license in another state, province, or country. Certainly, a lot of applicants are missing this when they're submitting the application. Maybe if you can touch on that a little bit.
So we do accept driver's license from out of country or out of province as a piece of ID. However, we do need to see a driver's abstract for any place you've had a driver's license outside of Ontario. So if you lived in Quebec at any point and held a driver's license, we need an abstract for that, as well anywhere out of country. So if you lived in the States or in India or any other place, we do require an abstract from the country as well. And I know it varies the process that which candidates have to follow to get those abstracts. So we ask, obviously, most of the time candidates can access their driver's abstracts and send it to us in a reasonable period of time. Of course, there are exceptions to that. Sometimes candidates are honestly not able to based on certain areas. So we do ask in that case that they provide a document stating that they've made the attempt but aren't able to get an abstract for whatever reason, and that will be evaluated at a later time.
Awesome, perfect. And I think the other one that I missed to address was signing the consent form. I think I've seen a few myself where people are not signing the consent form. Maybe you can clarify that.
Yeah, so candidates should sign as well. The witness needs to sign, and I know that that looks confusing to some candidates where you might think that you can have somebody here at the office sign it, or you assume that a witness is somebody here at the office, but you can have anybody with you, like a roommate, a parent, a partner, sign as your witness. And in addition, we want to add that the signatures have to be either an e-signature or you can actually sign it by pen, but the signatures can't be your name typed.
Awesome. Thanks, Kat and Erica, for detailed responses. So all the applications that come in from after today should be perfect. I think that's exactly what our expectation is going to be. One of the questions here about the driver's abstract, do they have to be, could it be a 3-year uncertified? Would that be acceptable, or does it have to be a certified abstract? Maybe if you're able to answer that.
I don't know if we've ever seen an uncertified driver's abstract. Usually they have to be official, like they have to have either the municipality, the province, or the country logo that indicates to us that it is an official one.
Yeah.
If you're unsure, you could always submit it and we'll take a look at it and then potentially return your application to you and let you know that that doesn't work. But if you want to be safe and ensure that your application is not sent back to you, then I would definitely recommend getting an official abstract.
Yeah, and I believe if it's a bit older, it would be okay if it's a bit older. The date on it, say, was from a couple years ago, but you've been in Canada ever since you obtained that, then that one should still be valid if you haven't driven there since then.
Perfect. The other one I want to ask you about, again, the common one that we see is if you completed your highest level of education outside of Canada, um, do they have to submit the transcripts and the equivalency? Maybe you can touch on all that and how they would go about doing it.
Yes, so we require transcripts for every single school program you've done, any diploma, certificate, and even if you didn't complete a program, we still require a transcript, or even if you're still currently enrolled in a program, we still need a transcript. There's certain scenarios where we do need an equivalency. If you completed high school and university in another country, we would ask for equivalency for your highest level of education. But if you did high school in another country and then you did your college in Canada, then your highest level would be in Canada, so we wouldn't require it for that. But we would still need your official transcript, and the transcripts have to be signed.
Perfect. And last one before I jump on to some of the questions here people have been asking. If the application is returned for missing items, I know one of the things we're seeing is people are withdrawing the application, and obviously that's not something they need to do, right?
No, you don't need to withdraw. We don't recommend it because then you lose all progress you've made, all documents that you've uploaded. Once you withdraw, we can't reopen your application. So all those documents are just closed off. You don't need to withdraw it. Us returning your application to you with notes is us just letting you know that you've missed a couple of things and now your application is back in your hands and you can update it yourself by uploading new documents or changing any details that need to be done, because once you've sent it back to us again, your application you'll be locked out of it for the most part. Until later stages you might be able to upload things, but once you're locked out you can't make any more updates. So us returning it to you is just giving you that access again to make those updates.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think the question here that popped up, abstract for out of province applicants. Do we need abstract for Ontario residents? No, we do not need driver's abstracts for Ontario residents. It's only the out of province residents that we need the abstracts for when it comes to driving. So thank you, Kat and Erica. Certainly, I think we'll have other questions throughout. So if you're able to just stick with us on the chat, and certainly if any other questions that you see that you're able to address, then we'll certainly let you do that. So getting to some of the questions that others have asked already, I'm going to try to get through them. Age limit. There is no age limit. So you just have to be 18 and over to apply, and there's no age cutoff. If you go on our website, opp.ca/careers, and you look at the hiring requirements, we have all the ones listed, and the age requirement is just 18 years of age or older. Okay, and there's no age cutoff. The next question there, if you were unsuccessful at a psych testing with the Municipal Police Service earlier in the year, can you still apply to the OPP? Yes, absolutely you can. You can still apply, and in the portal, we will actually ask you a specific question about your psych testing with another service within the 12-month period, and you will essentially tick that box off and list the police service that you did your psych testing with, and then certainly we will do the rest after we receive your application to see if you can still continue in our process, or you would have to wait a minimum 1 year period. Okay. Is there a liaison officer to discuss and assist? James, I'm not sure what you're referring to in terms of what is it? I assume it's about recruitment or specific topics, or is it maybe some other areas of policing topics that you want to discuss? Maybe you want to clarify that in the chat and I can address that. Okay. A question about, I only have my high school. Do I have self-studies, philosophy, and psychology extensively? So that's good. You only need high school. So you only need your high school diploma to apply. That's the minimum education requirement. So that has not changed. And if you have done self-learning after that, that's great. But the only parameter when it comes to education is just your high school education that you need to show us. Okay. Do you have to take police foundations? No, you don't have to take police foundation specifically to apply to a police service. If you want to take it to enhance your, education or understanding of policing, certainly you can do that. But any education or any area of study, whether it's in a high school, college, or university that you take, would be accepted as an area of study. We are not looking for a specific area of study when hiring. Okay. When it comes to applying a second time, do we have access to our previous applications in the web portal in order to better inform our second application, or is a previous application deleted and is inaccessible? Erica and Kat, have you seen any of this in terms of answer to this question?
Sorry, do you mind expanding on the question?
Yeah, I think what this person is asking is if they are applying a second time and the first time that they applied using the portal, they were not successful, and they're applying a second time a year later, do they have access to their application, the first one that they submitted in the portal?
Oh, no, unfortunately not. Sorry, I thought that's what didn't want to give an answer that was a little ambiguous. No, unfortunately not. Once the files are either declined or withdrew or are just kind of left behind, they are closed off. So after a certain period of time, they close off and we're not able to access them again. So yeah, unfortunately, if you have documents there that you don't have in your own personal possession, you'll have to reobtain those from whatever institution or wherever you got them from.
Perfect. And I think that's probably a very good point, Kat. Thank you. So when you're going through the portal and you're adding all these items, please make sure that you're keeping a copy of all these things that you've done. So that way, if you did need to apply again, you're easily able to access them. And Kat and Erica, a question about employment. What if they worked at a place for 3 days or 3 months in the probationary period and they left? Is that something you would still require listed under the employment category?
Yes, it is. Even if it was 1 day, we've seen some people list if they worked for, like, say, during an election period, you need to list every single position.
Fair enough. And any updates, such as like first date or CPR updates that they want to submit after they have submitted the application through the portal, where is it that they would send that to you? Would it be through the opp@opp.ca email, or would you?
Yes, yep, that's fine. They can send it to us. Any additional uploads we can add to their file for them.
Right. Yeah. So I know this question gets asked all the time. Sometimes we have people that want to add more reference letters or they have more, and they email saying they're not able to access their portal. So like Erica and Kat mentioned, you can actually email us and it would be uploaded onto your profile. The 2 weeks fitness logs, do we need to fill all the blanks, especially the pin test part? So we don't expect you to list or fill out everything in that 2-week fitness log. What we are hoping you do is to indicate truthfully whatever it is that you do to maintain your fitness. So if you're running every day, certainly you would list every day and you would fill out the everyday category when it comes to the cardio portion. But if you only run once a week, then we only expect you to fill out once a week. And that applies to all the different categories, whether it's strength training, the fit pin, even relaxing, or when you want to focus on something other than fitness. So certainly the only category that you should be filling out every single day should be the sleep category. That's the only one that you should be filling out every single day. But for all the other ones, we expect you to be honest and truthful and just fill out what you do to maintain your fitness. Does the OPP require the OACP? No, the OPP does not require the OACP as part of the hiring process. If you have it, that's great. You can submit it as part of the application, but we do not require it as part of the application process. Another question about being an active sworn constable and applying to our EPO process. Yes, if you're hired as the experienced police officer through the EPO process, you would go for a 4-week top-up at the Provincial Academy as you transition into your new role with the OPP. Okay. 2 questions regarding the auxiliary application. First, when it comes to the identification, I noticed it says a certificate of live birth is not valid. However, this is only this is the only identification I have. And second, when it comes to employment, do I need to list small odd jobs such as babysitting that wasn't a consistent job? Erica and Kat, can you address that? Do you want me to read that to you again?
So for the second part of the question, yes, again, you need to list every single position you've had. And sorry, the first part,
The statement of live birth.
Oh yes, so we don't accept the statement of live birth. I'm unsure of how to move forward to get something else that you would need, because we do accept birth certificates, passports, Canadian citizenship certificates, but unfortunately not the statement of live birth.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I thought that was probably the accurate answer there. Certainly, Samantha, I'm sure maybe your parents can give you some form of these documents. If you probably reached out and kind of explored that a little bit, and you'll be able to get that sorted out. Okay. Moving on, letter of recommendation be okay. I'm not sure in what context you're asking, but assuming if it's related to the portal. Minimum 2. We're looking for a minimum 2 and as many as you want to list in terms of a character reference letter that we're looking for. Okay. What would you request if the applicant did not complete high school, so no transcript, but did complete college? Do you just require the college transcript? Erica and Kat?
Okay, so I'm thinking maybe the applicant did attend high school at one point, just maybe didn't graduate from high school. So if that's the case, we would still need the high school transcript because we need it for complete or incomplete. But if the candidate did graduate from college, then that meets our minimum. So we would need that transcript.
Perfect. Good. Civilian positions, certainly if you're interested in applying to any of our civilian positions, whether it's uniform civilian or non-uniform, certainly we have different paths available. So if you look at uniform civilian positions, you can be auxiliary, special constables, cadets. Those are available to us. And then certainly if you're looking for the non-uniform civilian positions, we have many different ones throughout the province. You can be a detachment admin clerk. You can be a dispatcher. Certainly many of those positions you can actually go on the Government of Ontario website, gojobs.on.ca, and certainly you'll be able to see all the civilian positions that we accept and currently filling across the province. Okay. I think I addressed that one. Question: what happens if the official driver abstract and school transcripts are in French from Quebec? Erica and Kat?
Yeah, we do accept transcripts or driver's abstracts or anything in French. We have enough people that work with us within the uniform recruitment and recruiters in general that speak French and come from Quebec that they can translate or review your application as it comes. Even if you fill out self-assessment portions of it in French, we have people here that speak French that can translate.
Perfect. And Kat or Erica, can you touch on the World Education Service, why we would have a candidate go through that service?
Yes, so WES is an educational equivalency program, and we recognize, or they will, I think the process that they take is that they ask for your transcripts or diplomas from different countries where you've completed your education, and then they process them and ensure their validity and provide you with an educational equivalency certificate. And we recognize and accept WES. So I think it would be one that we recommend to provide your transcripts to if you need to go through the educational equivalency process.
Perfect. Thanks, Kat. The other one I had here, just posting question. So when you're going through the constable portion, the constable application process, you actually get to pick 6 detachments. So you will pick the top 6 that you prefer based on all the different detachments available throughout the province in different regions, and we will do our best to offer you one of the 6 that you picked. And if there is a chance where we're unable to, offer you one of the 6 that you picked, certainly we'll try to work with you to maybe have you pick 3 more, or try to see what other options are available to you. Okay, because we understand people have families and other commitments, and sometimes it's not easy to uproot and move because of obligations that you already have, and so we try and work with you to make sure that the position that you're looking for, at the same time obligations of our organization are met, and we'll try to do the best that we can to make it work together. Okay. I've been working in Alberta as a German iron worker. I also have my grade 12, and I'm a Red Seal ticket. I assume you're asking me if that is that makes you a strong applicant. Absolutely. I think certainly any transferable skill or experience that you have from other employment, certainly there are skill sets that are transferable to policing. But the only way you'll know is to go through the process, go through the hiring process and see how you do. All right. Because even if you don't have any policing or law enforcement knowledge or experience, we will certainly make sure you get that by going through the training at the Ontario Police College and the Provincial Police Academy. And we make sure we top you up to make sure you have the confidence in your role and to be a confident police officer. So that's a great question. The other question here is, my interview is tomorrow. If I make it on, and after any chances of the September class, you never know, right? Maybe if you certainly do well, you're almost at the halfway mark for the hiring process. If your application flies through the rest of the stages, maybe you might have a shot. I never want to say no, because you always want to start from a position of yes. I've heard somebody say that. I've heard two people say that. So you always want to start from a position of yes. So I'm going to say yes. It's a possibility, but certainly a slim possibility because of where you are and where the class is, which is about a month away. If you don't have a high school diploma, is there any other equivalent that can be used? Erica or Kat?
Yeah, so we also will accept a GED, and of course any college or university as well.
Okay. Thank you. Next question here. I have my license suspended once in my life in another country, but I don't have any demerit points in Canada and for it. Does it stop me from applying? No, it doesn't. You can still apply, and certainly then we will assess the situation once you get in our process. So certainly don't let that stop you from applying. Is the beep test the only physical portion we can videotape and send in? Yes. The shuttle run is the only physical test that we currently have in our hiring process, and we allow you to submit that test either by self-recorded video, or you can actually come in and do the test at one of our locations throughout the province where we have our in-person testing that we offer. And certainly if you come and do that in person, we will also give you the 30-day fitness certificate. That way you can bypass the fitness stage as you go through our hiring process. Okay. I cannot swim. Am I still eligible to be an OPP officer? Yeah, so the swimming is not a requirement for our hiring process, but I'm sure through the grapevine you would have heard that there is a swimming assessment portion at the Ontario Police College. So certainly that is something that you will do once you're hired and you attend Ontario Police College. But it's an assessment that they do. So don't not apply just because you think you can't swim or you can't swim. Certainly you'll still be eligible. Okay. How far back does employment listing go? I think Erica and Kat mentioned you have to list every single job that you've ever had in your life, whether it's part-time, casual, cash job. Even if you worked a job one day, you would still have to list that. How long is the application process? We say usually about 4 to 6 months, but certainly it varies from applicant to applicant depending on how in-depth their application is. Sometimes you can be hired in less than 4 months, and sometimes it certainly takes more than 6 months depending on how much you have in there. So certainly the process is consistent and it just goes throughout the year. As you know, we're hiring for 4 classes a year. So even if you miss the cutoff date for one class, you'll naturally just roll into the next class eligibility. Okay. So certainly don't let that stop you. Is 2 years of volunteering enough? One position was for 2 years and another one for a year. So we don't have a requirement of the length of volunteering. What I would say is, as long as you have volunteering that you're doing on a consistent basis, that speaks volume. And certainly, any volunteering is better than none. So, if you have done something throughout the years in your life, certainly list that. Certainly, we will take that into consideration. Okay. Um, uh, Question. I think Erica and Kat, this is for you. Would a status card suffice as identification?
Sorry, we actually don't know the answer to that question. It's a good question, and it's something we can try and find out. And if this applicant wanted to email into OPP Hire, we could get back to them. But sorry, we actually don't know the answer to that one.
Okay, there you go. So Elijah, you kind of stumped us there. So certainly we will take that back and have an answer for you. Please email us on that, and certainly we will look into it and have a response for you. Okay. Question: I've done my justice diploma in Calgary, but my age is 36. You're young. You're young. Like I said, 18 is the age that you can apply, but we are seeing applicants in all ranges applying. So 36 is not an age that you need to feel like. I assume you mentioned that thinking you're older or an older applicant. Not at all. I would encourage you to apply. Certainly, we have applicants much older than you that have applied and have been successful in our process. So certainly, I would encourage you to apply. By chance, would you know when the next cadet position will open up? It'll be we're looking at the fall, most likely, but it hasn't been confirmed. And usually, once the date is set, we will post it on our social media pages. That way, you have chance to go on our website and apply. Okay. Question about if I have an Ontario license and I only ever held that, do I need to be? No. If you have an Ontario driver's license and that's the only one you ever held, you don't need to get an abstract. Okay. Do you have any advice for psychological testing moving forward? I understand that it's important to be honest with everything you say, and I think you answered your question right there. I think as long as you approach it in an honest manner and you address the question and answer the question based on your life to date, I think that's the best way to approach a psych test. There's nothing you need to prepare for. There's no study material that we offer you or anything like that. It's just you'll come into a virtual type of setting and you'll answer questions of different parameters, and then those testings are results are scored, and then based on that, you'll also have a follow-up psych interview with our psychologist, our in-house psychologist. Okay, so like you said, just be honest and truthful, and just be yourself. Okay. I'm 47 year old. I'm 47 years old. Am I eligible to apply? Absolutely, you are. Yeah, there is no age cutoff. As long as you can meet the parameters of the hiring process of all the different stages, certainly I would encourage you to apply. Okay. As you mentioned in the interview, how long does it take to receive feedback on whether a candidate was successful or not? So we are, I think, compared to many municipal services or many other police services, we are very fast. I think our turnaround time is very quick. I want to say probably less than a week. You probably will hear back from us less than a week, or maybe a week and a half. I kid you not, it is quite fast. When it comes to uploading proof of previous employment, is that required for all positions I've held? Some of my jobs from over 5 years ago may no longer have the same contact information or systems in place. In cases like that, what would be considered an acceptable substitute? Kat, Erica, you want to jump on that one?
Yeah, so I think as we stated before, we encourage applicants to include as much employment history as possible. So everything. And there is an option on the employment history part that if that business or organization no longer exists, you can indicate that, and then that will eliminate the need for you to include a certain amount of information. But we still encourage you to input as much employment as you possibly can. We ask for everything for EPOs and auxiliaries, only 10 years. So past 5 years is really not considered that old. We would like to see those things. And if you're not able to get a direct number to prior supervisors or anybody that you would usually put on there, you can always put numbers. A lot of candidates put numbers for like general HR lines or just like the 1-800 numbers that reach the company. That would be better than nothing.
Yeah, no, well said, Kat. Thank you for that. So I would say certainly take that back and look at it from that perspective as you approach, filling out the information requested when it comes to the employment. Is it true OPP might give you anywhere from 6 months to a year to submit your shuttle run video? No, so that's not true. Once you submit your application, the first requirement is for you to submit your fitness shuttle run, and we usually give you about 2 weeks for you to submit that. So once that's done, certainly you can either come and see us in person or record your own shuttle run video and submit it. But certainly we don't give you 6 months to submit the shuttle run. Okay. For reference letters, if they are 2 years old or older, are we able to still use them in our application for one of the references? So ideally, we want them to be under 2 years. But if you're struggling to find references, or if you can't find that person, certainly you can submit it and we will review it and we will make a decision on whether we will accept that or not. Okay. As a mom with small children, I'm wondering if how flexible is a job with the OPP regarding work location schedule. Assuming you're talking about the uniform position, certainly you have the option to pick the locations that you want to be posted in. But certainly, as you know, with the policing role, it's a shift work position, right? So majority of our units on the front line work a 12-hour shift. Usually, it's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. day shift and 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. night shift, and it comes on a rotational basis based on your off days and on days. So certainly, it's not a Monday to Friday job, and there would be some flexibility that's probably needed on your end. Hopefully, you have the right type of supports in place to help you through. But certainly, this is something that you would have to consider and look into if you're seriously thinking about potentially applying for the uniform position. But certainly, we have many parents that work in this line of work with young children, small children, and they are able to make it work. So certainly, I would encourage you to see what your challenges are, and if you want to speak to somebody specific, such as a recruiter or another female officer, certainly we can help you put you in touch with them. Okay. Is OPC more college style of learning or more university style of learning? I would say OPP has a blend of both. Certainly, you're living on campus, doing all the studying and all the activities from morning to evening, Monday to Friday. But certainly, it's a more adult learning environment. You have a lot of flexibility to do a lot of different things, and it's more of a learning environment. You have to have the discipline and then the knowledge to be focused when you need to, but certainly there is off time where you can separate yourself and have some fun too. Okay. Thanks for the questions that you're submitting here, and we're only about 10 minutes away on this session, so I'm going to try to see if I can get to more of your questions. Please do more sessions like this. Very informative. Thank you for that. Appreciate the kudos and thumbs up. Certainly, we're here regularly doing our AMAs. So that's the whole point of it. So we can address the questions that you have that impact you and your application, and making sure that you're successful in our process and giving you the information that will make you successful. Where can I find out where the shuttle run tests are in person? Just to go to opp.ca/careers, opp.ca/events, and look at the events page, and we list all of our postings there. Okay. Trying to get through the final one here. I just received my conditional offer about half an hour ago. Congratulations. Are you required to stay within the provided student housing during the schooling, or am I able to commute to and from Aurelia? You can commute if you want to. Certainly, you can do that as long as you're able to meet the requirements. Certainly, they have early classes, evening classes, things of that nature. But totally, if you want to drive back and forth, that is your call. Absolutely. Okay. But congratulations. That's amazing. Look forward to seeing you at training. I'm graduating school this upcoming April. Would it be okay for me to submit my application around February to get a head start Absolutely. You should definitely do that. So by the time that you graduate, you might actually have the job lined up for your May intake. So I wish you all the very best with that. I think that's a good way to go about it. Um, Looking at application says to provide the past 10 years of employment, but then also says to provide all employment history. It's confusing. Yeah. So that is something that we will be changing on our portal. So that as you go into the portal soon, you will see that will be changing. But certainly, we want you to list all your jobs that you've ever held. Okay, that's what we want, and that's the reason we're doing the session today with Erica and Kat, just to address some of these issues that we're seeing. Okay. Is there an alternative for shuttle run if you can't run or if you're injured? No, unfortunately, Julie, at this point, we don't have that. The shuttle run is what we test you on. So if you are injured, please don't push yourself. Just wait till you are fully recovered so you can do the test properly and that way you're successful. Just trying to read through some of the questions here. Fitness requirements for special constables and cadets. For special constables, you would also do the shuttle run, but you would only be required to meet a level 5. For cadet, there is no fitness requirement. Okay, and there's no max age. There is no max age to apply. As long as you're over the age of 18, you're eligible to apply. Okay. I'm trying to just go up here just to see if there's anything else that I miss. Thank you for hosting these AMAs. I've attended a couple of recruitment events. One of the auto show, the other one the Great Canadian Casino, and both were fantastic. I highly recommend these types of in-person events to anyone interested. It was a pleasure meeting you and getting the chance to pick your brain. I was told I'm welcome to apply for a ride along once I've started my application. Should I call 310 or ain't or that? So the ride along is it's not something that every single detachment does. Okay, so that is totally apart from the recruitment process. It's based on availability and each detachment commander's decision. So it's totally something that if depending on where you live in the province and if it's something that you went to the detachment to inquire about, and if that is something they are willing to do for you, certainly I would encourage you to go speak to the detachment commanders or the managers there and inquire about it. But it's not a guaranteed opportunity. Okay, I have already submitted my application, but limited it to the last 10 years of employment. Should I update my file? Yes, please update your file because we would be asking you about all your employment, not just the 10 years. Okay. Trying to wrap up any of the ones that I missed off here. It looks like there's one here that I missed. What are some of the essential things an applicant should maintain while in the process after submitting their application and receiving their file number? So there's many things I can talk to you about, but what I would say is you should probably focus on the 10 areas of assessment. If you're able to focus on that and make sure you're competitive in all 10 of those areas, I think you would certainly be ready for your interview, but not only for the interview, but to be hired as a provincial constable. Okay. What is the difference between main detachments that have the asterisks on them and the other one? Just looking at which. So one would be the host detachment and one would be the satellite detachment. So many of our detachments across the province have a host and a satellite detachment. So you can work out of both areas, but they're probably both separated by geographical locations. But they both fall into the same cluster. So for example, if you look at Toronto Whitby detachment, even though they're sister detachments, one is located in Toronto and one is located in Whitby, but officers that report to that detachment fall under the same command structure of an inspector and staff sergeant, and so on and so forth. But the physical reporting locations are both very, very different. Okay. So 5 more minutes, team, before we wrap up. Certainly, I appreciate all the questions and I appreciate all of you logging in and answering them. Thank you for the kudos to Erica, Kat, and myself. Certainly, we have our team in the background, our social media coordinator, and our Corp Comms coordinator, Alicia and Vic, that always help out with this. But certainly, we want to thank them also. But appreciate the kudos. When does pre-screen take place before or after shell run submission? Usually we will do that in our hiring process. So once your application is done, certainly fitness is the first one that we will look at before you move on to any part of our assessment phases. Okay. For anyone that have been deferred, that can speak to try when they can improve on. Someone that is bilingual, fit, with no criminal check, and with a lot of volunteer experience. So I assume that you're talking about you were declined in the hiring process, and you're hoping to get some feedback in our hiring process. So unfortunately, we're not able to provide feedback to applicants. As you can imagine, if we were providing feedback to every single applicant, we wouldn't be able to hire anybody because of just the time and the effort that would require us to spend doing that. So we don't provide feedback, and also there's other myriad of reasons why we can't do that, from privacy issues and getting into that. So what we always encourage you to do is to get some mentorship or self-reflection to see where you can improve on your own. Maybe the 10 areas of assessment is where your starting point would be to look at where you're not strong or where you can improve, and then certainly work on that, and then come back as a stronger candidate. Okay. One last question before we wrap up. Let me see if there's one that I have not touched. Okay, and that's going to benefit all of us on this call. Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that. Kudos, appreciate it. Do I have? Okay, so when we talk about the vision and hearing, I'll talk about that as our last question here, because it'll benefit everyone in this chat. So as you know, there is a vision and hearing requirement when you go through our hiring process. The OPP does not require you to do your vision test or hearing test when you apply. Okay, we don't ask for that. One of the ways you can get that done is when you go through the OACP process, when you get that OACP certificate. But one thing I would really encourage for those of you that maybe are concerned about your vision or hearing and meeting those standards, I would encourage you to go to our frequently asked questions page. We have listed our vision requirement and our hearing requirement. And if you're in some way concerned that you don't meet the standard, what I would suggest you do is go have yourself tested. Go see an audiologist, and go also see an optometrist. We have the standards there. Print them out, take them with you, show them to the assessors, and just make sure that you meet them. Because a scenario that I've seen is if you go through the whole process and you make it all the way to the end, and that is when we do your medical testing, including your vision and hearing. If you don't meet the standard at that point, we can't offer you the job, even though we want to. So it would be a huge shame for us to get you through the whole process. You've invested all this time and energy going through every single stage, making it to the final stage, and then you realize you don't meet the medical portion of the process. And sometimes, depending on the depth of or your limitations in terms of vision and hearing, you might have to do a few things to make yourself get to the standard. So I would say look into that early as possible. Make sure you're meeting those standards, so that way when you get to the end, we're just giving you the job offer, and there's no hiccups as you move forward. Okay. So in saying that, again, thank you for the kudos, everyone. I see the comments. I appreciate the support, and certainly appreciate all of you joining in and watching us today. I want to thank Kat and Erica for hopping on and helping me out, answer some questions. Certainly, I wouldn't have been able to touch on any of the detailed responses that they provided, so I appreciate them for doing that, and certainly Alicia and Vic for doing what they do. So apart from that, hope if you are in the process, I hope you're successful in getting that call, whether it's for the September class or the one after that, which will be in December. But certainly come on out to our sessions. We have a lot of our fitness sessions in person now. I personally attend them along with a lot of my colleagues. Certainly information sessions, and we will be posting some of the outreach events that we will be out at throughout the province. So hopefully we will see many of you there. Thanks everybody, and all the very best for the rest of the day and the next month.